Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we are talking about the wake-up call about self-surveillance you didn't know you needed. And I have multiple sources on this. I'm cribbing primarily from the Washington Post. And as you know, I do pretty much every Sunday a Breaches of the Week video and podcast, and this is actually going to be part of that as well. But in this case, this is one of those few breaches that really brings another problem to light, and that's our privacy, but not just from government surveillance, but from private corporations and entities as well. Now, if you didn't hear, security camera startup Verkada just declared a data breach, and honestly, it's pretty bad. Now, with this single breach, more than 149,000 security cameras under their control at various clients all over the planet suddenly revealed to its attackers, basically who had used high-level login credentials to access Verkada, essentially it got them access to their vast camera network where they could do anything, including steal information, including videos. Now, the attackers shared some of their materials with the Washington Post to really spotlight the security threat of widespread surveillance technologies that subject the public to near constant watch. Now, this cache of stolen materials includes real-world images and videos, as well as the company's massive client list, which names more than 24,000 organizations across a vast section of American life, including schools, offices, gyms, banks, health clinics, and even county jails. Now, according to Bloomberg and CNN, car maker Tesla, internet security vendor Cloudflare, fitness company Equinox, identity management provider Okta, who, if you're in cybersecurity, you probably know them very well, and others are all clients of Verkada. And so, before we dive into the surveillance side, who actually did this? And the answer is there's a hacktivist collective known as Advanced Persistent Threat 69420, and basically they're a loosely organized team of fewer than 10 people that were on this, and they say they stumbled basically onto the login details for a Verkada quote-unquote super admin account that had been publicly exposed on the web. Once inside Verkada's network, they said that they were basically stunned by how much real-time video they could watch and how many internal features they could access. The company's centralized software made it very easy for them to access the vast network of sensitive surveillance cameras that all of these clients had with just a few simple clicks. And to quote directly the Washington Post on this entire situation, and I think these two paragraphs need to be quoted verbatim, and I quote, "The breach, which was first reported by Bloomberg News, highlighted a central vulnerability undermining the modern web. As more companies race to amass vast stores of sensitive data, they are also becoming more fruitful targets for attack and making it that much easier for thousands of unaware people to be suddenly exposed. But it also revealed a sweeping change to the way America now watches itself through the increasingly ubiquitous eyes of cheap internet-connected cameras that capture our lives in many ways many people may not realize and etch them onto a web that never forgets." And I think this is true. Think about all of the times that you've walked into a bank or a sporting event or a company or whatever that is, and they are collecting an absolute ton of footage on you from when you drive into the car, from cameras that are sharp enough to catch license plates to facial recognition, and on, and they are being stored in every which way. And when you centralize that with a company like Verkada, this could possibly be the end result. Now, the Washington Post also talked to Liz O'Sullivan, who is the technology director for the Surveillance Technology Oversight Project, which is a nonprofit advocacy group, and they said that tech companies are basically mass gathering of personal video and other data has left them under a constant siege by criminal hackers who probe these networks and use automated tools to test for vulnerabilities. In our job here, as in many cybersecurity jobs, this is exactly what we do, although obviously we're not doing it for malicious reasons. And I can tell you right now, we find open stuff all the time that we are able to hit. Now, according to Ms. O'Sullivan, and I quote, "This is a hypocrisy of the surveillance network. Anything you create under the guise of making more safety is a tool that can be turned against you. The more we centralize power into the hands of a few tech companies, the more at risk we are of things like this. For every one of these you hear about, there are 10 others that you don't." The hack has also raised questions about how much Verkada employees we're able to basically see from its customer cameras. And so according to Charles Roulette, also talking to the Washington Post, he's from the surveillance research group IPVM, and he said yesterday that a person with close knowledge of the company, basically who he declined declined to name, claimed that Verkada employees could access customers' camera footage at any time without the customer's knowledge. This is a very serious problem that we have. Before Ring Doorbell, for example, was actually purchased, whistleblowers went to The Intercept and said the same thing, that executives in Ring essentially had the entire back end unencrypted. They could go to your camera, your footage, and basically what Ms. O'Sullivan was talking about is true. Think about how we are centralizing and aggregating data in places like Facebook and how many data breaches over the years that they've actually had. While that's not camera surveillance, we have videos, we have pictures, we have personal information sitting absolutely everywhere that not just governments can get warrants or not and access them, but they are continuously being scraped. People are breaking in and stealing footage. You are being put on cameras without consent. Think about Halloween, for example. You send your kids out there, and every time they press a Ring doorbell, their face, if they're not wearing a mask, is now being registered into an Amazon database that potentially still doesn't have encryption on it. You know, if Amazon didn't fix that when they bought Ring, and why would they? Because it would make it harder for them to data mine. So these are the kinds of things that we really don't think about, that we really don't talk about, that I talk about here ad nauseum. So here we are talking about it again, and hopefully if you've never heard me before, this is one of those wake-up calls that we all need to have. We are putting ourselves out there, and it's not always with our consent. And as we aggregate and centralize this into those massive tech companies, they are becoming bigger and bigger targets. The Amazons, the Googles, the Facebooks of the world, the Apples are under constant threat. Microsoft just proved this, where attackers are able to find a massive vulnerability in the Microsoft Exchange email server platform and basically hit over 30,000 of these. And we also found, due to recent reporting, that more than 10 different hacking groups were using these kinds of attacks to get in. This is what we are dealing with. And while I can understand the appeal of big tech and all of this and the convenience of that, we have to know where our data goes. This is why we need good laws. This is why we need good standards for cybersecurity that need to be enforced, monitored, and maintained on the large companies of the world, as well as the small ones as well. As we put data out there more and more and more every single day, it needs to be protected, and we need to make sure that we're aware of that. And now I hope you are aware of that too, and that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, where you are being data mined. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well, where you are being data mined. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, everyone.